Hi everyone. I was recently asked on how to remove part of a string, but they weren't sure how long the string could be. So it could be one character, it could be 200 characters, 300, 5,000, not sure. So you can't use the standard replace function to say, if you're not sure what the pattern is. So if it's a good example would be if we put on a list lookup, for instance. So if you're familiar with the list lookup control, I'm just going to do a list lookup here. And the way that SharePoint stores data in, let's go title, in the column, it shows the value on the list, but behind the scenes it stores the data a different way. And so by that I'll show you. If I drag a label on and I'll put the list lookup, we'll call it list lookup here, and we'll put the label here. We'll insert the list lookup. Form controls, insert. Now what's going to happen here is you're going to see how SharePoint actually stores the data. So I can see Kelly here. I'm going to select Kelly, but what SharePoint actually stores is one semicolon hash Kelly T Butcher. Now, I think the question was how do we get rid of everything preceding the hash? Now, usually people would say, well, the replace function, I've got an example there, the replace function would do it. So if you say replace, replace, and we've got a replace function here, and usually what people are thinking is if I was to do something simple, like I'll do a label under here. So we would say insert, add a variable, change name. Usually what would be replace, and they'd say put in the string. So you'd say, was it title? Title, form, title, and then you're looking for the pattern, and then they'd do something like quotation marks, and that would totally work because we know we're looking for EUAN. So I'll go ahead and create and insert that. So if I go to preview, if I type in Ewan Gamble and I tab out, what we're expecting is it just say Gamble, and that's worked fine. Now what if we don't know if the name is going to be 3 or 6 or 10 characters or whatever it might be? What you can do is, going back to here, we'll go to this list lookup. So that was the control there before. And what you can do is still use the replace function, but you can actually do regex inside the replace. So if we go replace and insert, what you'll notice here is it says replace the text source, so the string that you're giving the function, the text regular expression. So as we saw before, it could be just quotations and the string that you want to replace, something's fixed and you know what it's going to be. Or it could be dashes. You want to remove all the dashes from a phone number. That would totally work without complex regular expression. And then once you put in the text replacement, which is, it could be quotation marks with no space, or it could be a colon, or whatever you want to do. Now, text regular expression, if you're familiar with the regular expression in the single line of choice, what that means is it's going to validate on input to make sure that someone doesn't put in text that you didn't want to. Whereas this is actually saying, we've got some data, now let's clean it up and remove some things. So in my example here, we had before, what did we have? We had the lookup functions. We have lookup, this lookup, and what we want to do is replace everything before the semicolon hash. So what we'll do first, we'll do the hash here and just have a look at that again. So the hash, and we're going to replace it with quotation marks. So create and insert. So let's go and have a look again. So when I select Kelly, it's got one semicolon hash. Now here you can see what I've done is I've got rid of the hash, and that's good. And I could get rid of the semicolon. So I come here and I go, okay, I'm going to clean this up a bit more. I'm going to go semicolon, perfect, preview, and now we go Kelly. A little bit further, but now we'd have to also say, well, I actually want one, or it could be two, or it could be any number of numbers basically, and it could be between 1 and 100 or thousands, hundreds of thousands, we're not sure. So the string could be really variable. So what we need to do is grab some regex. Now, if you're not familiar with regex, regexer.com is a really good place to learn about regex. And so here is my example here. We've got one semicolon hash Kelly, as we saw before. One semicolon hash Kelly. So we're going to paste that in there. And I've come in here and gone to a cheat sheet, so you can just grab any number of these and build them up. But what this basically does, it says The dot matches any character except line breaks. So just match anything at all, and match 0 or more of the preceding token. So anything before what I'm matching on. So any character, um, any character except line breaks, and anything before the preceding token. So the last thing we want to catch is the hash. We're going to get that and any preceding token, right? So then we've got this. So we've got this regex. We're going to copy that. We're going to paste it into our variables, into our variable. Yep. Now we're going to get rid of this because that was really a string match. What we're now going to do is put that in there. Now I've gone and done something wrong. It probably doesn't like my slash. There we go. Update, preview, and there we go there. So what I was doing there is it was having an issue with my backslash. So you can see there it's something's not closed, parentheses isn't closed. So I use an escape character to get out of that. Press update, come to preview, and now when we select Kelly, no longer a problem. So I've got 5 or 6 things there. I'm going to change this to something with a lot of submissions in it. I think I might have something with a lot of things in it. Let's go to sites process first. Let's retrieve the list. Now I've got project sites. Now this has got 5,000 items in it, and I'm going to say project. Its site is the main one. Now we come back to preview, and this has, so as you can see here, this has got thousands upon thousands, and I'm just going to keep going down. 999. So I'm returning 999. And so it didn't really matter that it was one character or 999 characters. It's still only giving me this. Now, if you're familiar with Nintex Forms for Office 365, you would know that we've already got the parse lookup function. So the parse lookup function is good for separating the ID. So this is really the ID in SharePoint, and this is the value. So it gives you the opportunity to either separate the ID or the value. So, but it was just a worthwhile case to show you can plug regex into the replace function, or you could use the lookup function. But it depends on where your data is coming from. It could be coming from a web request, and you need to manipulate that data, or you need to change a string, remove dashes, or whatever it might be. So just keep in mind next time you want to do a replace function that you can actually paste regex in there as well. Hope you find that useful. Let me know in the comments. Cheers.